Hey, it's Jabo. Welcome to BrickTsar. I've done a lot of things with BrickLink. I was always worried when Lego took over the BrickLink website, but things have basically stayed the same. There's been some changes that affected some people, but there's been also attempts to do some things that could potentially be pretty good. And I think this has that potential, although what I'm about to show you, I wouldn't recommend doing it the way I did. But it was the time saving way to do it. Anyway, this is from the MOC Pop Up Store, which is a limited time thing that Lego has going on through BrickLink, or I guess BrickLink has going on. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, you can order instructions for some of the ideas that did not make it to official BrickLink sets or Lego Ideas sets. And you can either gather the pieces yourself or you can allow the BrickLink functionality to make shopping carts for you. And it gives you there's 4 different choices, potentially. Sometimes there's only 3 choices, and you can fiddle with it however you want. So for this experiment, I chose one of the models that wasn't too terribly expensive, but also one that I really liked the look of it. And I love trains. So it is the narrow gauge steam locomotive by Ties 25. So you can buy the instructions outright. Don't have to go source the parts through BrickLink if you want. You can just go try to find them in your own parts collection, or you can go to BrickLink or however you choose to find parts. But what I did for this experiment is, like, let's say I'm a novice to BrickLink. I haven't been on it for 21 years. What would I do? Or what would the experience be like? So I went to the site, went to this model, chose it. It gives you the option to add it to your cart. It doesn't mean you've purchased it. It's just you can add it, and then you can go through step by step and buy the different components of it. So the first thing I did was buy the instructions. And then it builds carts that should, if the sellers of those stores have their inventories correct, it should give you all the parts to build the model. So this one, since it was small, it was able to get 2 stores that had all the parts at decent prices. And you can go in there and add more parts to your order. Like, you fill the shopping cart up. It does a nice job of keeping those shopping carts related to your MOC Pop-Up Store stuff, but you can also go to your normal shopping carts list and look at it there. And you can browse the stores and look at other parts. But keep in mind, this is the one caveat or warning. I don't know, what's a caveat? Is that is if you add it to your shopping cart, there's always the potential that an item could sell out before you check out. Uh, Generally it's not going to be like that bad, but yeah, if the seller only had 4 of a piece and you needed 4 for the model, and somebody else come and bought 1 of them, then it just messes up your whole shopping cart. But that didn't happen. So what I did the novice way. I filled up the 2 shopping carts and I placed the orders. And oh my goodness, the one for Brick's Attic, I was like, I sent a message because I actually felt kind of bad, because I was like, I sent a message like, I would never place an order like this. But I said, this is an experiment to see how the MOC pop-up store works. So it was a lot of 1s of these, 2s of these, 4s of those. Normally I would just buy more quantity of parts, especially if it's something I didn't have. But I just went ahead and let it, go the way it did. So Bricks had a lot of parts, and the other one was NK Bricks. And those 2 stores had all the parts I needed to build this. And I got the orders, dumped them out on the table, and I started building. I didn't sort them. It's small enough I didn't need to sort. It's just as I needed a part, I opened the bag and dumped the bag on the table. I did. Now, I don't know which seller it was. I had 1 extra part. No, actually, I had 2 extra parts, and I was missing 2 parts. And again, I didn't go back to see which seller there were, but it could have been an error with the inventory. I don't know. So that was I don't want to say disappointing, but that is something that could be disappointing for somebody. If I was building this thing normally, what I would do is just go source the parts from my own store, and then see if I didn't have the parts, just see where I could get them. And it would have been a much smaller BrickLink order, or no BrickLink order at all. But it did work for this. Just I was missing 2 parts, which were fairly common parts, especially if you collect like Speed Champion sets and other things that use snot techniques, which this thing is heavy on snot. In fact, it's like it's built upside down. It's like the studs are on bottom on this thing. It's like at first I thought I was building it wrong, but it's the way he used the building technique to get some of the features of this locomotive. The Cheers 25 is the one that made this, but I mean I love it. It's not going to be a functional model, although it does roll. There's a piece here holding it that's for display purposes. So the wheels for the narrow gauge stuff aren't very good to begin with, and then when you add all the weight, it's not good. But it works. It rolls. I forgot which place. I think it goes right there. But it displays nicely. I love how he made the slight incline here. I don't know what the I forgot to put my microphone on. We will live with it. Hopefully I'm loud enough that this worked. But anyway, it's a really nice little model. The angle thing is nice since this is a narrow gauge railway, which are usually things that are in mountains, and you have switchbacks to deal with the narrow spaces you have because you're building on the side of a mountain or having to take tight radius turns to get around the different things. So very very appropriate to have this angle thing. And then it's just, I don't know what the model is. Kind of reminds me of like a little Scarloey or Aeneas. I don't know. But it's obviously doesn't have a tender because this is coal that's in this. So it's like a tank engine, like Thomas type thing, where you have everything all in the one thing. And it's a really good model. So for what I paid for it, I paid too much for it by doing it the MOC Pop Up Store, but it was very easy, and it's just basically built it in the evening. There was no hassle. Even though I had the two missing parts, I was able to get them, and I think even the two parts that I was missing, anybody else could have found them or substituted something else. But yeah, the MOC Pop Up Store had 41 models. It's possible that some models may not be able to purchase the pieces if they don't have the right combination of sellers on BrickLink. There's a lot of different factors. And I did order 2 more instructions, but I didn't source the parts. They were actually 2 rather large sets. I just wanted to go ahead and get the instructions, and I'll probably just try to get the parts myself. The one thing they don't do is they don't potentially give you the option to just download the parts list to put into a wanted list. They didn't have that, but I think there's a workaround that where you can just fill up your shopping carts and then save your shopping carts to BrickTsar and then edit it that way. So again, no wanted list, but just fill up your shopping cart, go over to BrickTsar, import it, and then put that into a wanted list where they're all together, and then you can go through your collection, your store, whatever means you want to get the parts, and do it that way. Or you can source, use BrickLink. And they also, one of the options is some of the parts could come from Pick a Brick. It just depends on what parts are in the particular model, if they're currently available and if they're cheaper than what they are on BrickLink. But yeah, I like that they're trying this. I don't think it's the best way to buy stuff, but it's also not terrible. It's not a ripoff, I don't think. I mean, but if you're a seller and you don't have lot limits, which I don't, and I don't like lot limits, it will potentially give you some really crappy orders to pick. But hey, you're selling your parts, so why complain? Oh, people do. But the people that sold this stuff to me, they didn't complain, and they sent it pretty quick. So thank you, Bricks Addict, NK Bricks, Cheers 25. Oh, and this is the one thing I don't understand. There may be a reason for it, but you cannot leave the mock builder feedback. I don't, why? So and I don't know if there's any of them that were already on BrickLink, but the 3 I bought from all have 0 feedback, and you can't leave them feedback. Why? I don't know why. I don't know why you can't do that. Anyway, I'm going to go. It's a good program. I would recommend buy the instructions if there's something you like and source the parts yourself. But hey, thank you.